In Vedanta Shastram, the whole teaching is ultimately to help an individual to learn to be by oneself. Emotional distancing. And for which physical distancing is the first step. So, what Bhagavan has ordained, how to be by yourself. Amazing. I think previously when I came last year, I think I gave a talk based on Subramanya Bhujangam. Do you remember that was? I don't know whether I hear or elsewhere, I don't know. In America, I gave a talk. Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada has written a verse. He has written many stotrams also. Apart from commentaries on Prasthanatrayam, he has written many stotrani. And actually Sringeri Acharya once told me, it's also important for you to teach stotrams. Then I was teaching a lot of stotrams, 40 stotrams I start. And one of the stotrams is Subramanya Bhujangam, which Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada himself composed in front of the Lord in the temple in Tiruchendur, south of India, southern districts of Tamil Nadu. And there, the stotram consists of 33 verses. And one of the, I think, 18th, 19th verse, I think. There he says, he addresses the Lord by 11 names. Addressing the Lord by 11 names, and he tells, oh Lord, there will be a time, he says, I tell you, he was only 32 when he died, Shankaracharya. And he writes, his expression is like on 90-year-old, 100-year-old man's matured. No, I think he was much more than that. He says, there will be a time, O Lord, I will be all alone by myself. Which means the universe, the world, the people, things which keep me company now, they will not be capable of keeping me company. I'll be alone then. Then I will be missing the company of the world. Because I'm helpless, because I'm so used to be always in the company of the world. But there'll be a situation I'll be, alone. I'll feel very lonely. So when the world will be capable of keeping me company, when I desperately I'll be missing the company, then I'll be miserable. Shankar, the definition of misery, what is misery? Missing the companionship, company of the world is misery. And then I don't want to have that misery. And what you should do, you must appear in front of me. If you appear, then I'll have your company. And I will not miss the world's company, then I will not be miserable. Which means for me, to have Bhagavan's company is actually to have Bhagavan's Swarupam being revealed to us. And to have Bhagavan's revealed to us means what? To have our own nature revealed to us. Once I know what I am, then I can be in my own company. If I am not knowing what I am, how can I be in my own company? If I had to be in company of somebody means I must know the other person. I must enjoy the other person's company means I must know who the other person is. Similarly, I should know my own real nature. If I know what I am, if I know that you are my Swarupam, then I can be in my own company. But I do not know, I'm ignorant of my Swarupam, I'm just here not knowing what my Swarupam is, then I cannot be in my own company. Then, so bless me with thy vision of thy Swarupam, obtaining as my own Swarupam. So then I need not miss the company. I can just be in my own company that is your company. He says that. And that is what is actually freedom from emotional dependence is actually freedom. And physical distancing itself is very difficult. Imagine emotional distancing. The whole teaching, the way of life, all the ashrama dharmas, all varna dharmas, everything is to digest the most difficult thing that everyone should learn to be by oneself. Be with everybody to learn how to be without others, to be without others, everybody. The whole teaching is Vedanta. So now this is the right time for, I told all my students, sitting at home, be contemplative now. Anyway. Om Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Om Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanno Mitrasham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yaschandasam Rishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyodhyamrutaat Sambhabhova Samendro Medhaya Asprunoti Amrutasya Devadharano Bhuyasam Shariram Me Vicharshanam Jihva Me Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhore Vishruvam Brahmanah Koshosi Medhaya Pihitaha Shrutam Me Gopaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Aham Vishvasya Reriva Kirti Prashtangireriva Urdhvapavitro Vajiniva Swamrutamasmi Dravinagam Savarchasam Sumedha Amrutokshitaha Iti Trishankor Vedanuvachanam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Yesterday we saw in page number 325, I think for you the English translation available in 326. The first paragraph is the translation of the Bhashyam, where Shankara Bhagavad-pada has taken the words of the Purupakshi and he started commenting upon those words. He just repeats Purupakshi's statement. What was his statement? Samasta Vedartha Jnanavatah Karmadhikarat Ityadi. That's the statement. See, Purupakshi, the person of different view, he says karma backed by knowledge can serve as a means of attainment of moksha, and for which Shankaracharya already has given answers. We saw all those answers yesterday. But now, what was his stand? Purupakshi's stand. Upanishad, it is said in this Smriti. What is said in the Smriti? What is said in the Shastram? See, karma adhikaraha, the eligibility to perform any karma, any ritual, Vedic ritual, is there only for the person who has the knowledge of the entire Veda. Sarva Vedartha Jnanavan. Sarva Vedartha Jnanavan means the person who has the knowledge of the meanings of the entire Veda, which includes Upanishads. Therefore, the person who has the knowledge of the entire meaning of the entire Veda, not simply the Vedic words, not the chanting alone, the person who also must have the knowledge of the meaning of the entire Veda, which means the person definitely must have self-knowledge also. Only the person who has self-knowledge, who has knowledge of the entire Veda, is eligible to perform karma. That was his point. Which means that information, that meaning, what does it mean? We mean the person should perform karma, and he, after attaining jnanam, therefore karma is the main important factor here. Karma is very important for attaining moksha. Knowledge only is backing the karma. That is his stand. And for which Shankara Bhagavad-pada says, that statement is not wrong. Which statement? One must be qualified to perform the karma, and the qualification required for performing karma is that one must have the knowledge of the meaning of the entire Veda. That is not a wrong statement. What he states is correct. But that knowledge required for performing the karma, the qualification required for performing karma, the knowledge of the entire Veda, what it means is, the knowledge of the entire Veda, meaning of the entire Veda means Shruta Jnanam. Shruta Jnanam means Samanya Jnanam, general knowledge of the entire Veda. Is also known, this Shruta Jnanam or Samanya Jnanam, otherwise said to be Apatata Jnanam, otherwise said to be Paroksha Jnanam. We have 4 words here. Paroksha Jnanam, Paroksha Jnanam, then Apatata Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam, Shuta Jnanam. All these words mean the same. What does it mean? Mean having an understanding, general knowledge of the meaning of the entire Veda. And this knowledge itself is not the Vishesha Jnanam. Here, once Vishesha Jnanam is there, Vishesha Jnanam itself is what? Moksha. Vishesha Jnanam is the means of attaining moksha. Vishesha Jnanam alone is required for the attainment of moksha. Jnanam itself is moksha. This Vishesha Jnanam is otherwise said to be Aparoksha Jnanam. This is what is Vishesha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam. Vishesha Jnanam means doubt-free, clear, ascertained knowledge of the reality obtaining as one's own self. Is Vishesha Jnanam. Only in the wake of such knowledge one discovers one's own Swarupam being freedom. Which is therefore Vishesha Jnanam is a means of attainment of moksha. Means Vishesha Jnanam, Vishesha Jnanam means what? Aparoksha Jnanam. Aparoksha Jnanam in English we can say immediate knowledge. Knowledge of the immediate self. Knowledge of the immediate self is said to be immediate knowledge. There is no distance between you and what is immediate to you is what? Yourself. Therefore, Aparoksha Jnanam is knowledge of the immediate self, one's own self. Is Aparoksha Jnanam. And this knowledge itself is moksha. And such Vishesha Jnanam, otherwise said to be Aparoksha Jnanam, is accomplishable only when a person goes through these disciplines, Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Without going through the Mananam and Nididhyasanam, this Aparoksha Jnanam, Vishesha Jnanam is not possible. But to go through Mananam and Nididhyasanam and have this Aparoksha Jnanam, immediate knowledge, which is the means of moksha, which itself is moksha, for which one must have definitely Samanya Jnanam. Without Samanya Jnanam, one cannot accomplish Vishesha Jnanam. Only when a person has a Vishesha Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam, this general knowledge of the Veda, and he will have an idea. First of all, Purushartha Nischaya is possible, and the value of the knowledge of the reality will be possible. One can know, self-knowledge is the only means of attaining moksha. Even that value of the knowledge of the self is also possible. And only then a person can understand how important it is to become qualified for that knowledge. One must definitely be mentally pure and steady for that knowledge. And one must have sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. One must have fourfold qualifications. One must have vivekaha vairagyam. One must have shamaha, damaha, etc. All these qualifications are required. Then viveka vairagyam are important. Only then jnanam can be accomplished. This jnanam alone is for means of moksha. And for one to mentally become qualified, prepared for this knowledge, to have mental preparedness required for jnanam, definitely one must live a life of dharma, values, and for which one must perform karma. So it's Vishesh, the Samanya Jnanam alone will help a person have a complete idea of what this teaching is all about. That's a general knowledge of the Veda. Then only the person will do karma properly, and he will not do the karma carelessly. And whatever he will do attentively with the Shraddha, wholeheartedly, with the focused attention, in conformity with Dharma, he will do his karma also. He will try his best to be perfect and efficient in his work. Only when he understands the importance and necessity of doing karma to prepare his mind for moksha, ultimately jnanam, which is moksha. Therefore, Visesh Samanya Jnanam, this general knowledge is important for him to live his life properly, to do his karma properly. Then he can accomplish the Visesha Jnanam, which is moksha. Because without this general Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam, he does not have general knowledge at all. So he cannot perform the karma properly. In fact, it is very important to do karma properly. He must know how to do, what to do also. That is why Veda says, who is the one who is eligible for performing karma? Who is the one who can do his karma properly? The person who has the knowledge of the meaning of the entire Veda, generally, and that person alone is eligible for performing karma. That's correct. But this Purvapakshi mistakes the Samanya Jnanam for Visesha Jnanam. He does not know the difference between Samanya Jnanam and Visesha Jnanam. He does not know the difference between the general knowledge and the immediate knowledge, which is ascertained vision of the nature of reality of one's own self. He does not know. And he is confused. He misinterprets the Smriti statement also. Of course, Smriti says, Shruti says, it is very emphasized. One must be karmadhikari, means the person is eligible to perform ritual. He must have that, it is said. But really speaking, to perform certain rituals, one doesn't need to know the entire Veda. Some knowledge is enough. Suppose a person who wants to perform Agnihotram ritual, he must know how to perform Agnihotram ritual. The person who knows how to perform Agnihotram ritual, he performs Agnihotram ritual. The performer of Agnihotram ritual, who has the knowledge of Agnihotram ritual, does not need to know the entire Veda. So, that limited knowledge or Saman, general knowledge, should not be mistaken for Visesha Jnanam. So, this person who has got the knowledge of the meaning of entire Veda definitely might have understood this also. O Aham Brahmasmi. See, I am the truth. And you are the truth. Everything is Brahman here. This all literal, he has the knowledge of the meaning of the words, but he does not really know what exactly implied by these statements. That needs, to understand the implied meaning, to have the assimilated vision of the subject matter of the teaching, one must repeatedly dwell upon the clear understanding one has, which is called Nididhyasanam. And what Shankaracharya says here, that's what he is going to mention here. Yesterday I started the teaching. Because Shravanam should be followed by Mananam. Shravanam can only remove the ignorance. So, Ajnana Nivrityartham Shravanam, Samshaya Nivrityartham Mananam. For removal of all the doubts in what one has understood, Mananam is the next discipline. And after Mananam, when a person has a clear knowledge, doubt-free knowledge, that also can be forgotten, not only forgotten, that will also be forgetfulness itself, obstruction. Why? Why the clear knowledge also is forgotten? Because we have unresolved issues in our subconscious, our own pratibandha, parabdha karma, niva pratibandhas, obstacles, what is surface, what is in subconscious may surface and prevent us from forget it also. And we also say the error caused by habit, the habit caused error also still will prevent us from enjoying the benefit of that knowledge. So the error, it is easy to resolve the ignorance caused error. Why? You listen, understand, ignorance is resolved. Ignorance caused error can be corrected by knowledge. But the problem is this habit caused error. Habit caused error. To resolve it, it takes very long. The habit is so rooted in us, in subconscious. So this Dehi Atma Buddhi, how long have we been having this identification of the physical body? So many years from the time we are born in this life, and even in other janmas, always the Aham Buddhi is in body for a very, very long time. And now this Jnanam is so clear. Yes, it is so clear, it does not contradict my reasoning. I understand very clearly, definitely I am the knower distinct from the body, mind, complex, and that I, the knower, am consciousness, Atma. I understand after Shravanam and Mananam, still the body identity doesn't go that easily. It's not that easy. That is when what has been clearly, doubtlessly understood through Shravanam and Mananam should be repeatedly dwelt upon. That repeatedly, constantly, consistently dwelling upon what has been clearly understood alone is called Nididhyasanam, contemplation. In his contemplation, the person is dwelling upon one's own Swarupam. What has been clearly understood is the nature of reality of the whole cosmos. But the nature of reality of the whole cosmos has been understood as one's own Swarupam. So the meditator is meditating upon, all his focus is upon his own Swarupam. So what is meditated upon is non-different from the meditator. What I am seeing is my own essential nature. I am consciousness is a statement, the fact. Now I know I am consciousness. Therefore, I repeatedly see how I am consciousness. In repeatedly dwelling upon, in this contemplation, there is no distance between the meditator you and what is meditated upon. This is contemplation. And this repeated dwelling upon one's own Swarupam is said to be Nididhyasanam, which will result in due course of time, this contemplation will bless one with what? Even the correction of the habit caused error. That is when effortlessly one can claim one's Swarupam being Atma, consciousness. One's Swarupam being Moksha. That is what is said to be moksha. That is aparoksha jnanam. Why aparoksha jnanam? Vishesha jnanam is said to be aparoksha jnanam. Sthita prajna. Aparoksha jnana means the knowledge of the reality obtaining as the swarupam of the knower. Which means what is known and the knower, there is no in between, there is no means of knowledge. That is why it's called aparoksha jnanam. To understand very clearly, let me tell you, we talk about pratyaksha jnanam. Pratyaksha jnanam means direct knowledge born of direct perception. Now all of us are seeing all of us. So we have pratyaksha jnanam of each other here. I have pratyaksha jnanam of all of you sitting here in front of me. And you all have pratyaksha jnanam of what is being heard. Because you are listening directly the Upanishad class. So pratyaksha jnanam, you yourself directly know through your perception. This pratyaksha jnanam, direct knowledge of objects through direct perception is called pratyaksha jnanam. So knowledge gained through perception, the means of perception. Now indirect knowledge means what? It's direct knowledge. So paroksha jnanam is indirect knowledge. So now, see, Swamiji in his cottage, he is not here. I do not know where he is. Suppose somebody, one of you tell me, Swamiji is in his cottage. I do not see him. I do not know myself he is there. But through another person I come to know he is there. I still have knowledge of Swamiji staying in his cottage, but through other person, I do not know myself. I did not see, not through perception, but through other person. It is indirect knowledge. It's called paroksha jnanam. If I describe how the Ganga river is flowing in Rishikesh and Haridwar, if I describe, and from me you have a knowledge of, I can even show the video of the Ganga river flowing in Haridwar. We still have knowledge of Ganga river flowing. It is not pratyaksha jnanam, but paroksha jnanam, indirect knowledge. So direct and indirect knowledge is always of an object other than the knower, which is different from the knower. Okay, knowledge of an object alone can be an object of direct, indirect knowledge. Paroksha jnanam or pratyaksha jnanam. But knowledge of the swarupam of the knower subject, the knower swarupam itself is object of knowledge, means, okay, this is called aparoksha jnanam. Is it clear? Aparoksha jnanam. So Vishesha jnanam is actually paroksha jnanam. What is being said in the Veda Shastram, I understand. I am the knower, and the knowledge of the subject matter is what? Object of my knowledge. Knowledge of the subject matter of the Veda, entire Veda, is what? Object of my knowledge. I am the knower. Therefore, what is known by me is different from the knower. It is a paroksha jnanam. Whereas aparoksha jnanam is the knowledge of not an object, knowledge of the swarupam, essential nature of the very knower, the subject. There is no in between, there is no means of knowledge involved. Pramanam reveals, then you are the vastu yourself. Therefore, it's called immediate knowledge. Mediate knowledge means what? Mediate knowledge is a pramanam is involved in between. Therefore, aparoksha jnanam. And he mistakes, the Purvapakshi mistakes this samanya jnanam, paroksha jnanam for aparoksha jnanam, vishesha jnanam. And he says what? Oh, one should perform karma after the vishesha jnanam, should perform after the samanya jnanam, one should perform ritual. That he says, therefore karma is the means of attainment of moksha, he says. So he is wrong. That is what Shankaracharya explained in this. We saw yesterday, this is all yesterday's lesson. I have repeated just to make it very clear, because yesterday I did not mention this aparoksha jnanam, etc. I just took a time, it was time, so I stopped the class. Now, page number 327. What I already explained, I'm going to read it out now. Upasanam cha, Shankaracharya's answer here. Upasanam cha, Shrutajnanat. So objection, the Purvapakshi's contention is given in the translation given in 326. Shankara's commentary. In Sanskritam is in 325, page number 325, which yesterday we have read already. Shrutagnyana matrena hi karmanyadhikriyate nopasam apekshate. Means no contemplation is required, no jnanam is required. General knowledge of the entire Veda, which is to be followed by performance of ritual for the attainment of moksha. So here Shankaracharya answers. Upasanam cha shrutagyanat arthantaram vidhiyate mokshapalam. What he says, Shrutagyanam, Shankaracharya uses the term Shrutagyanam in the place of Samanya Jnanam or Paroksha Jnanam. See, there is a knowledge. Upasanam here means Visesha Jnanam. Okay? Upasanam, the word Upasanam means what? Contemplation which will result in, the contemplation which will result in Visesha Jnanam is meant by the expression Upasanam. So, the Visesha Jnanam, which is accomplishable through Upasanam, is different from the Shrutta Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam. And this Visesha Jnanam or Aproksha Jnanam is accomplishable through contemplation, is said to be what? Itself means. Itself is a moksha palam, result of moksha. Arthantara prasiddhihi cha syat. And it is very clear the difference between Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, which means Shrutta Jnanam being different from Visesha Jnanam. Visesha Jnanam being different from Shrutta Jnanam is made very, very clear. How? For which we have Shruti quotation he presents. Shankaracharya says, he presents the sentence from Shruti Upanishad of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There it is mentioned, Shrotavyaha ityuktva tad vyatirekena mantavyaha nididhyasitavyaha iti yatnantara vidhanat. Which means the three steps are presented in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Shrotavyaha, first Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is said in second chapter, 4th section, 5th mantra, states very clearly, Atmava are Shrotavyaha. Atma must be first heard. Heard means what? Shrotavyaha means unfoldment of the nature of the Atma, unfoldment of the nature of the reality obtaining as one's own self must be first listened to. One must hear. Must be heard first. After having heard, received, understood clearly the nature of the reality obtaining as one's own self, then another discipline also is mentioned. Tad vyatirekena. Apart from that, different from that, mantavyaha, then our Atma must be reflected upon. Mantavyaha means then what has been heard, the nature of the reality obtaining as one's own self, which has been heard and understood, must be reflected upon repeatedly. Mantavyaha. Then nididhyasitavyaha. And through reflection, by reflecting upon the nature of the reality, obtaining as one's own self, one must have any doubt caused by any other school of thought also resolved. All the doubts must be resolved. One must be convinced. Yes, what Shastram, one must be convinced of the fact that Aham Brahma Asmi. No, they say something, other school, no, Visishtadvaitin says something, Dvaitin says something, or Nyaya people say something. Different schools may have different views. And although all their views, when they also present very, very, powerfully, present the arguments, you may be shaken. Oh, maybe they're right, because they're very strong, very powerful. Sometimes people may be strong, which means you must be very much clearer to see the fact how I am consciousness. wave is water, no doubt. Similarly, I am consciousness must be very clear. So one must be convinced, and one's understanding, one's conviction or one's understanding must be based on one's, reasoning also. My reasoning does not prevent me from accepting this fact. One must be clearly have clear understanding. Only then, what? Nididhyasitavyaha. After having clear understanding, one must dwell upon what has one clearly understood. Nididhyasitavyaha. Why here different? Why these three different disciplines are mentioned here? Because that alone, yatnantara vidhanat, Upanishad itself prescribes these different disciplines. Shravanam, one discipline, which should be followed by Mananam, which should be followed by Nididhyasanam respectively. Why it is Upanishad prescribes this? Because Manana Nididhyasanayoho cha prasiddham Shravana Jnanat Arthantaratvam. Which means the knowledge attained by Shravanam, and then later on knowledge one has finally after going to the disciplines of Mananam and Nididhyasanam is completely different from the knowledge one has through Shravanam. Different means what? All the doubts have gone clear. It's not simply general knowledge, it's ascertained knowledge. In Shravanam, when he listens, still, and okay, Atma is all pervasive. I am Atma. I am hearing. Still, it is not assimilated. Whereas after Nididhyasanam, one sees the fact very clearly. Therefore, Vishesha Jnanam, Aproksha Jnanam itself is moksha. Aproksha Jnanam alone is enough for moksha. That itself is moksha. Therefore, that doesn't need to be combined with the karma. Okay? Karma need not be combined with aproksha jnanam. Jnanam itself is the means of moksha. So here, this Purva-Pakshi mistakes. One must definitely do karma only after being qualified, and the qualification required for karma is having the Shuddha Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam of the entire Veda. That's what Smriti says. And he misinterprets that Shruti. So Shankaracharya clarified that here. Then what is the teaching here? No, karma need not be combined with jnanam for moksha. And after the attainment of self-knowledge, one need not perform karma. Okay. Now, again Purva-Pakshi, page number 328. Until now, what we have seen is only what we started yesterday. We're coming to the next lesson now. Those words are very beautiful words actually. Atmavare Shotavyaha, Drashtavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha. Very nice. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is amazing. It has answers for all questions. Okay. Again Purva-Pakshi comes. Again the opponent comes with a different view, presents his objection. View, in fact. Evam tarhi, okay. Now he helplessly accepts what Shankaracharya's answer. Evam tarhi, if it is so. Evam, if it is so, vidya savyapekshebhyaha karmabhyaha syan mokshaha. Now he changes his order. First he said, karma backed by knowledge is the means of attainment of moksha. Now he changes. Okay, knowledge is the means of attainment of moksha, but knowledge should be backed by karma. Same thing he changes. First he said, karma is the means of moksha, attainment of moksha, which should have the backing of knowledge. Now he says what? Vidya savyapekshebhyaha karmabhyaha. So karma which has the support, vidya savyapeksha, means support of the knowledge. Karmabhyaha mokshaha. Karmabhyaha mokshaha. Moksha is accomplishable through karma and which has the support of jnanam. Same thing, but he slightly changes. Vidya sahitanam cha karmanam bhavet karyantararamba samarthyam. He gives an answer. When rituals are performed along with the knowledge, if a person has knowledge, he also performs karma. Then what happens? It must have this special capacity. When the karma performed, he performs rituals, he also has the knowledge. Then that karma palam will be more effective, more efficacious. And for which he gives an example also. Yatha swataha marana jwaradi karyaramba samarthanamapi vishadadyadinam mantra sharkaradi sanyuktanam karyantararamba samarthyam. What he says here, just as mantra sharkaradi yuktanam vishadadyadinam. Visha means poison. Poison. See, the poison, the snake poison, or any poison, which can kill a person. The poison will cause maranam, death of a person. But same poison, when people chant some mantras, they sanctify that medicine, the poison, and the same poison can be used as an antidote to protect a person from snake bite. Suppose a snake bites a person and he has a poison, and the same poison extracted from the snake can be used as an antidote to save him. So here the poison sanctified with the mantras, mantra ucchatanam. So that helps in saving a person from death. Similarly, dadhi means yogurt. Suppose if the yogurt, in the Ayurveda Shastram it is said, Ratrau kshirannam madhyane dadyannam. One must eat yogurt, buttermilk only in the afternoon. Night time one should have only milk. Ratrau kshirannam madhyane dadyannam. It is said very clearly. There is a reason, because it's difficult to digest and all that. But suppose if people have yogurt in the night time, then what will happen? It may cause fever, indigestion. So jwaraha means fever. So even though this yogurt which can cause fever, the poison which can cause death, all of them, same thing, when they are mixed with what? When the poison is sanctified with the mantra, and the yogurt mixed with sugar, sharkara. When it mixed with the yogurt, minus sugar will cause fever. Poison minus sanctified by mantra will cause death. But when the mantra is sanctified when the poison is sanctified by mantras, yogurt is mixed with the sugar, then it will not cause, it will cause the fever or death. Similarly, when mixed with something, these two give a different result. Produce a different result. Similarly, jnanam also, okay, when the karma also combined with the jnanam, karma alone produces moksha, no doubt. You say karma cannot produce moksha, but this karma which cannot produce moksha will be able to produce moksha when combined with jnanam. Karma combined with the jnanam can produce moksha, just as poison combined with sanctifying mantras can remove death, and also the yogurt mixed with the sugar will not cause fever. Some example he gives. Therefore, it is possible. The karma which is incapable of giving moksha becomes capable of giving moksha when combined with jnanam. Yatha swataha marana jwaradi karyaramba samarthanam api. Vishidadhyadinam mantra sharkaradi sanyuktanam karyantararamba samarthyam. They themselves, poison, yogurt, etc., they themselves can cause death, a fever, etc. When they're combined with the mantras and sugar, etc., and they give a different result, different effect. They have the capacity to, they work differently. Similarly, the karmas also, definitely karma can produce moksha if combined with jnanam. The upasana should be taken as Vishesha Jnanam here. Understood the Purva Paksha?
The Purva Pakshi doesn't say that the upasana is Vishesha Jnanam.
No. Upasanam actually means Vishesha Jnanam.
The Purva Pakshi means Vishesha Jnanam. The Purva Pakshi means.
Now he says, now he says, see, before his stand was Samanya Jnanam. Now his stand is different, because after explaining, because he uses the term upasanam.
But the question is if he uses in the same way as Adi Shankaracharya uses the term.
No, it's only Shankaracharya presenting here. Shankaracharya is himself is a person who raises the objection. Yeah. See, the idea is, for him, karma is more important. Moksha is accomplishable through karma. Isn't it? So, how combination of jnanam, the thing is, earlier he said, oh, karma alone, karma combined with the karma, in fact, the person has attained jnanam and then only he becomes qualified for karma. And then performing karma, he attains moksha. That was his first stand. So if he doesn't have this jnanam, he is not even qualified to perform karma. Then he can't attain moksha. Which means he mistook the Shuddha Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam for Vishesha Jnanam earlier. Which means he did not know the difference between, there's something called Vishesha Jnanam he did not even know earlier. But Shankaracharya makes it very clear. You are mistaking the Shuddha Jnanam for Vishesha Jnanam. That is different. We don't need that. That is not possible. Yes, to perform a karma, one must be qualified. And that qualification required is not Vishesha Jnanam, Samanya Jnanam. Don't bring in here, he said. And to make it very clear, he differentiated Vishesha Jnanam from Shuddha Jnanam. And now he is saying, okay, you say karma cannot produce moksha, then Vishesha Jnanam, then karma, still karma can produce moksha. How? By combining Vishesha Jnanam. Is it clear? And for which he gives example. What's example you know? The poison sanctified by mantras can really save life. It can remove the death. Which causes the death becomes a different, will be of different effect. And the sugar, the yogurt which causes, by itself causes fever, will be of different effect if sugar is added in yogurt. Which means, he gives examples. Similarly, the karma can give, you say karma cannot give moksha. Karma, which is incapable of giving moksha, will be capable of giving moksha if it is combined with upasanam. The upasanam here implies Vishesha Jnanam. Still he wants to hold on to karma, that's the idea. Now, next. In page number 330, and Shankaracharya's answer is what? Na. I like this na. Okay, one word, isn't it? No. At least we know his view is wrong, even if you are not fresh in the class. At least Shankaracharya does not accept any of these Purva Pakshi's views. You know definitely that you cannot miss. Na. He says, Arabhyasya anityatvat iti uktaha doshaha. How many times I tell you, I repeat to you, already it has been, uktaha means what? Already it has been said, that is, the defect has been already pointed out. Uktaha doshaha. The defect has been already mentioned. What was the defect? See, arabhyasya. Arabhyam means anything which is started, anything which has a beginning, which is begun. Anityatvat, which means anything which has a beginning will definitely have an end. Anything which has a beginning is anityam, time bound. So anything which has a beginning should have an end. That is the law. That is the order. And karma, if moksha is going to be produced by karma combined with the jnanam, is it clear? If moksha is going to be produced by karma combined with the jnanam, the karma produced moksha has a beginning, and that moksha will be anityaha. Therefore, it is not correct. Simple. And next, and Purva Pakshi comes. Vachanad arabhyaha api nityaha eva. Now he doesn't leave it, okay? He doesn't leave. Purva Pakshi will not accept. And he says, Vachanad. Vachana means words. Words of the Veda Shastram. There are statements in the Veda Shastram itself. And those statements of Veda consist of words. They reveal arabhyaha api nityaha eva. Even if it is begun, it is permanent. even something which has a beginning also, still it is permanent. It will be eternal. Where is it said? What is it said? And actually, he mistakes. Why does Purupakshi say, even Swargaha, even Moksha has a beginning, still it will be eternal? And he says, he talks about the going to Swargaloka. Why? When a person practices here, and he changes Upasanam, he takes Saguna Brahma Upasanam. If a person combines the karma along with the practice of Saguna Brahma Upasanam. Not Upasanam here we has what? One meaning is Visesha Jnanam. Another meaning is Saguna Brahma Upasanam also. So he says, if a person combines, Veda Shastram itself states, when a person practices Upasanam, performs the ritual, Upasana Karma Samuchayaha will help a person go to Brahmaloka. And there, after going to Brahmaloka, one can attain moksha. Moksha is attained. How? Through karma. Karma, only through karma, he has to combine Upasanam with performance of ritual to earn punyam to go to heaven. And there one can attain Karma Muktihi. So Upanishad says that. Veda Shastram says. Therefore, we can say, we can combine karma with the jnanam. Karma combined, okay, with the jnanam will definitely produce moksha, and which has a beginning, still which will be eternal. It is his point. Because heaven begins, and Shankaracharya's answer is going to be very clear answer. Please hear. Again what? What will be the first answer? Say. No. Na jnapakatvad vachanasya vachanam nama yatha bhutasyartasya jnapakam. He says, beautiful definition of vachanam. He says, what is a statement of Veda? Yatha bhutasya arthasya jnapakam. Revealing what it is. What is the vachanam. See, Vedic words just reveal exactly what is. Means revealing an object as it is the purpose of any word. So word cannot produce what is not there. Our word cannot reduce what is there also. Let me tell you here. Suppose if I say mic, the word mic can only reveal the mic. The word mic does not come and bring the mic into existence here. Isn't it? We say light. Any word, what does the word do? Suppose we tell you a fruit, a flower, a rose. That word only immediately reveals the object. The word reveals the object, means the word is a pramanam. Very important to understand. Pramanam only brings to light what is. Okay, means, see, I can only report to the mind the light is. I does not produce the light. Is it clear? Ear only reveal the sound. Ear does not produce the sound. See, producing is different from revealing. It's very clear. The power of hearing can only reveal this sound. Oh, it's a bird's sound. Oh, it is somebody speaking. It's a music. Any pramanam can reveal its corresponding object. Nose can only reveal the object called sound, smell. It does not produce the smell. Is it clear? Not producing. Like a pot maker making the pot, no word is producing anything here. Word, the job of the word is as a pramanam, it just reveals. Got it? Therefore, word does not produce. When Veda Shastram says, when a person practices karma, practices meditation along with the performance of rituals, he goes to heaven, Brahmaloka, and he attains there Kramamukti. He means words only reveal the objects. They do not produce anything. Therefore, he says, Vachanam nama yatha bhutarthasya jnapakam. Beautiful definition. What is a word? A word is that which reveals the given object as it is. Vachanam nama yatha bhutasyarthasya jnapakam. The revealer of the given object as it is the word. Na avidyamanasya kartru. It is not the producer or the maker of what is not there. What is the word? He says, what the word does, what the word does not do. No word, no pramanam, remember carefully, no pramanam, no means of knowledge, no word produces what is not there. A word as a means of knowledge only reveals exactly what is there. Is it clear? You are seeing word does not produce the light. It reveals the light. Oh, light is. Jnanam takes versal. It doesn't produce the light. No pramanam has the capacity to produce anything. It only reveals. Jnapakam means revealer. Na karta. It is not producer. Nahi vachana shatena api nityam arabhyate. What a powerful statement of Shankaracharya. Look at this. Nahi vachana shatena api nityam arabhyate. What is eternal cannot begin, does not begin. Even hundreds of statements of Veda cannot say, oh, eternal begins. Why? Because even if Veda says something, if it's against your reasoning, you should not take it. This is the Shankaracharya's words, okay, own words. We must accept what Veda says, but even what Veda says, if against your reasoning, don't take. That I like. That's the beauty of this Shankaracharya. I just love it. Even if Veda says, you don't need to accept if it is against your reasoning. You accept what Veda. The thing is, whatever Veda teaches is why we accept Veda. Veda Shastram, whatever Veda teaches, does not contradict our perception and reasoning. But what Veda teaches is beyond the scope of our reasoning. Beyond the scope of our perception. Not the reasoning, perception. Swarga, Veda talks about Swarga. It's beyond the scope of our perception. You cannot prove it. You cannot disprove it. So that is the Veda. Therefore, always you see whether it contradicts your reasoning. So here we have to think of three pramanams. One is Shruti pramanam. First, Veda should be accepted as the means of knowledge. Then Yukti pramanam. Then reasoning must be used. Whether Vedic statement, I accept Veda as the pramanam, become a great reverence for Veda because it's a timeless scripture. I don't want to, we should not say anything negatively against the Shastram. We accept the Shruti. Then we must use your logic also. Yukti pramanam. What is said by Veda does not contradict my reasoning also. Then sometimes, if necessary, Anubhava pramanam also. My own experience also supports the Vedic statement. Okay? Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava. 3 pramanams are there. My own experience is a means of knowledge for certain things, but my experience is not enough sometimes. So Yukti hi reasoning, then Shruti Vedic quotation. So you are again, when he says, oh, Veda says that by combining upasanam, see, his upasanam is what? Saguna Brahma upasanam. By combining meditation along with the practice of ritual, performance of rituals, and one can earn punyam by which one can go to heaven. This is what Shruti says. This called, he means as by the expression vachanam. Vachanat arabhyate. There are words of Veda which state one can go to heaven, heaven as a beginning, but still it is eternal. He says, Nitya eva iti. Na jnapakatvat vachanasya, no word can reveal, produce anything what is not there. Word is that which reveals an object as it is. Na vidyamanasya na avidyamanasya karta. It doesn't produce what is not there. Nahi vachana shatena api nityam arabhyate. Even if there are hundreds of statements of Veda, and no pramanam can accept that eternal has a beginning. Arabdham va avinashi bhavet. If at all anything has a beginning, that will definitely come to an end. That will be destructible. Arabdham va avinashi bhavet. Anything which has a beginning cannot be eternal, will not be eternal. It will definitely it will come to an end. Vinashi bhavet. It will be destructible, it will come to an end. It means it cannot be made eternal. Arabdham avinashi na bhavet. There must be na is missing. In Sanskrit, you watch Arabdham va avinashi bhavet. Na bhavet. The na is missing print. Okay. Yetena vidya karmanoho samhatayoho moksharambakatvam pratyuktam. And here ends what? Etena. Etena means what? By this statement, by this, the argument which has been presented before, the argument which has been discussed before until now, what? Vidya karmanoho samhatayoho moksharambakatvam pratyuktam. The accomplishment of moksha through the combination of karma and knowledge has been negated, refuted. Okay? This particular argument that combining knowledge, combining karma with the knowledge as a means of attainment of moksha has been refuted. What is the result? Karma need not be, cannot be combined with the jnanam for the attainment of moksha. Okay, therefore that is the answer. Now, we'll move on to the next 334. Purva Pakshi again comes. Vidya karmani moksha pratibandha hetu nivartake iti chet. Now he talks about again meditation. He goes back to Saguna Brahma Upasanam. The performance of rituals along with the practice of meditation definitely can remove can produce punyam which has the capacity to remove all the pratibandhas. Okay, all the obstacles caused by our own part of the karma phalam, we know. See, repeatedly it is said any obstruction, any obstacle in accomplishing anything is caused by our own pratibandha papam. So, if we earn punyam, how to earn punyam? By performing rituals along with the practice of meditation, by combining again karma, upasana, samuchayam. Purupakshi does not give up. He still continues what? If we practice by combining meditation and ritual, karma, upasana, samuchaya here. This upasana is what? Saguna Brahma upasana. By combining meditation along with the performance of rituals, we can earn special punyam. That punyam can help in neutralizing the papa karma, thereby patibandhas, obstacles caused by papa karma can be resolved, thereby it serves as a means of attainment of moksha. Very difficult for karma kandis, because the most voluminous portion of Veda is karma kanda. And the whole Veda they study and they understand performance of rituals. And they also practice a meditation also. Upasana kanda is also part of karma kanda only, actually speaking. Karma, the whole karma shastra is only mental activity, and karma kanda involves physical, oral, mental activities. All three parts, all three are involved in karma kanda. Means body, speech and mind. In upasana kanda, mind alone is involved. But still, all only activities only. So the entire karma, upasana, kandas together, put together, the vast voluminous portion. And a few last pages of Veda only form the Jnana Kanda Upanishads. So having studied the whole Veda, and finally what you need for moksha is only Jnanam, and for that Jnanam, all that you need to study is only Upanishads. That is why we are lucky. Even if you have not studied the whole Veda, doesn't matter. If you understand the way of life that Karma Kanda prescribes, they follow that way of life. Even if you do not do all those mentioned there, still just merely by studying the Upanishads alone, you can accomplish the absolute end by what is it which has to be accomplished by studying the whole Veda. Therefore, we are lucky. Otherwise, what would have happened? It's not practical and possible for us to study all the Vedas. So that is why people of those days who studied the karma upasana kandas, they do not want to give up. Imagine so much of effort is involved. And finally, what you want is moksha. For moksha, only jnanam is required. Karma is not required. Karma need not be combined. At the same time, karma is also made important. Karma is very important. Performance of rituals involving physical, oral activities and upasana mental activities, very, very important. Why? That is the only way of refining your mind. The mental refinement is possible only if you do karma. Lot of karma one has to do for mental refinement. Therefore, karma kanda is very big. And once mental refinement is there, just understanding the Swarup of Bhagavan as yourself is very easy. Preparedness is important. That is why Jnana Kanda is so small. So it's very difficult for them to accept. So what do they say? Vidya karmani moksha pratibandha hetu nivartake iti syat. See, moksha, in accomplishing moksha, even if you say moksha has to be discovered, in discovering moksha which is already there as one's own swarupa, what is that which prevents you from taking ownership of moksha? Moksha is fullness, happiness, limitlessness, is consciousness, existence, abstract reality. It is your swarupam, you are already. Imagine if the wave is searching for water, how idiotic it is. Wave is water, But unfortunately, it is not able to take ownership of its truth being water. Like even the moksha, what we are really wanting, that is our own swarupam. In spite of our own swarupam being moksha, and that is what is desperately sought after, we are not able to claim it. What is it which prevents us from claiming it, taking ownership of it, enjoying it? Ajnanam, ignorance. So he says, the moksha pratibandha hetuhu. What is obstructing one from enjoying one's own swarupam being moksha? It is, obstruction is caused by what? Papa karma. And that pratibandhas are there. Pratibandha is the hetu. And the pratibandha hetu nivartakam. So this, suppose you perform rituals and along with the practice of meditation, and that will create punyam. That punyam will help us in removing the obstacles which obstruct us from claiming our moksha. Still he wants to say what? Karma is means of attainment of moksha. So karma still can be combined with jnanam. I mean, jnanam, karma should be combined. Then Shankaracharya's answer comes. What is the answer? Na karmanaha phalantara darshanat. Karmanaha phalantara darshanat. Karma has a different result. What results? Yesterday what I explained, those results are going to be enumerated now. I'm stopping here. We'll come back and see in the afternoon. Maybe I can do this and stop. Because I wanted to, yeah. I can tell you this particular thing and go. See, utpatti samskara vikaraptayaha hi phalam karmanaha drishyate. Shankaracharya puts in one sentence. Karmanaha phalam drishyate. The result of action is only in the form of utpattihi samskaraha vikaraha aptihi. Utpatti samskara vikaraptayohi phalam karmanaha drishyate. Action can produce only one of these four results. All types of results of karma are only within these four categories. What are they? Utpattihi, production. Samskaraha, there is no fifth type of result of action. Samskaraha, refinement. Vikaraha, modification. Aptihi, attainment or reaching. This is what is the result of an action. An action can produce a result in the form of producing something, production of something, in the form of refinement of something, a cleansing of something, or modification of something, or attainment or reaching of something. This is what is the result of an action. Utpatyadi phala viparitascha mokshaha. Whereas moksha does not come under the category of any of these four types of results. Moksha is not producible, as I said already, not an object of production. Moksha is not something to be cleansed, accomplished as an object of cleansing, act of cleansing. Moksha is not an object, something which is modifiable, and moksha is not something attainable also. Not producible, not refinable, cleansed, no? It cannot be cleansed, not modifiable, or not attainable. Why? It is the Swarupam of the seeker. Swarupam of the doer, performer. Moksha obtaining as the very Swarupa of the performer of ritual. Obtaining a very Swarupa of the meditator of the Upasanam. It is not an object of action. Therefore, it is not producible, attainable, refinable. It is not modifiable also. Moksha is not an object of action. Because an object of action only of this comes under these four categories. An action can produce these four results, four types of results. And moksha is not any of them. Why? These are all qualities, isn't it? Anything produced should have an end. Anything produced as a beginning will have an end. And moksha is eternal. Therefore, it doesn't have a beginning and an end. Therefore, moksha cannot be produced. Moksha is not something producible. Because of nityatvat anutpadyaha. Shuddhatvat asamskaryaha. Because of it is pure and blemish free. It is not samskaryaha. It is not. Moksha is already, because of its nature of purity, shuddhatvat, it is asamskaryaha. Then, again, nityatvat, avikaratvat, nirvikaratvat, avikaryaha. Because moksha is of the nature of changelessness, therefore it is not modifiable. Then moksha is neither swarupatvat anapyaha. Moksha is neither away from you nor is it distant from you. What is that which can be attained? Anything which can be attained must be different from you, must be away from you. No? Anything that which has to be attained should fulfill two conditions. It must be different from you, other than you, it will be away from you. Then attainment of an object is possible. But moksha happens to be your own swarupam. It is neither away from you, nor is it different from you. Therefore, moksha is not apyaha. Swarupatvat mokshaha anapyaha. Nirvikaratvat mokshaha avikaryaha. Shuddhatvat mokshaha asamskaryaha. Then nityatvat sarvavyapakatvat anutpadyaha. Moksha sarvavyapakatvat. Moksha is a synonym of the word consciousness, that it is of the nature of all pervasiveness. Therefore, it is also what? All pervasive thing is already there as your own swarupam. It is anavapyaha and also anutpadyaha. Okay, we'll stop here. I just want to go and fill the form for this. My immigration, I had to go for I do some online work. Let me do it today, don't want to delay it. For extending my visa. I'll just go for some of it. It's okay? Ishwar, you have a question? Yeah. Huh?
I can ask it another time.
Dinner time? You just tell me now, quickly.
Just to confirm that attainment of Brahma Loka is not refuted if a person combines karma and upasana, then they can reach Brahma
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that next following. Shankaracharya is going to answer here. See, if a person practices upasanam along with the performance of rituals seriously, very strictly, and if that upasanam and karma is practiced as a saguna brahma sakama upasanam. It's a saguna brahma upasanam only. When a person practices Saguna Brahma Upasanam, Hiranyagarbha Upasanam, along with the performance of rituals also, and that Upasanam, if it is a Nishkama Upasanam, then person who goes to Brahmaloka, there he attains Jnanam, he attains Moksha. He won't come back. If it is Sakama Upasanam, this person will go to Brahmaloka, enjoy, and he'll come back. Even after going to Brahmaloka, returning is possible if a person's upasanam is Sakama Upasanam. Nishkama Upasanam means he will not come back. And whose Upasanam will be Nishkama Upasanam? If a person is committed to moksha, if his interest is only in moksha and jnanam, he is not interested in anything else. If he's not interested in anything else, even if a person practices upasanam, performs rituals, but his goal is ultimately jnanam and moksha, he is not interested actually in the results of the karma or upasanam. He only practices that for antakarna shuddhi. Then that upasanam is called what? His karma is nishkama karma and his upasanam is nishkama upasanam. So the person who performs nishkama karma and then practice Nishkama Upasanam, that person also will go to Brahmaloka, like the other person whose karma is Sakama Karma, Upasanam Sakama Upasanam. But the difference is that Nishkama Upasakaha will attain Moksha. And even then he attains Jnanam there. Even then only Jnanam he attains. Jnanam alone liberates him even in Brahmaloka. With Sakama Upasanam, he is not interested in Jnanam and Moksha. Enjoy the heavenly life. Again the punyam gets exhausted, he'll come back. Have you answered?
So it's still not an immediate cause for moksha. It is purifying the mind, and then jnana will give the moksha.
Even Brahmaloka, Jnanam is the only way. Jnanam alone will liberate, because as long as Ajnanam is there, still there is no moksha. Because aham karta, aham bhokta, that notions will be there as long as Ajnanam is there. That is there means that punya papams are there, sanchitam will be there. Only when the erroneous notion is resolved, sanchitam will disappear. Then no need. Ajnanam, as long as Ajnanam is there, kartrutvam will be there. I am the meditator, I am the doer. Notions will be there. Which means still identity will be with the mind, subtle sukshma shariram, even though not with the physical body. I am the meditator, I meditated, I earned punyam, I have come to Brahmaloka, that will be there. Only the person who is a Nishkama Upasakaha, and for him, Shastram says definitely Jnanam will take place, even after going there, because of his commitment to moksha and jnanam. Then he will attain moksha there. It's called krama muktihi. But same jnanam it can accomplish here itself. But Sakama Upasaka will have the pleasure, best of pleasures, enjoy. Punyam gets exhausted. Still Ajnanam is there. Oh, he comes back. See, Sakama Upasaka is the one who does not still seek Jnanam. Ajnani Upasakaha. Upasaka is Ajnani only. But he is not a Jignasu. He is not a Mumukshu. He is only Sakama Upasakaha. He wants to enjoy pleasures. So he enjoys and comes back. Some people want to come and enjoy Bahamas. They come here for a break holiday. Typically, he wants, oh, what is there in heaven? Let me see. That sukham, that drives him to there, enjoys, comes back. That's what, anyway, why I'm telling you now, this Shankaracharya is going to mention later on. In his commentary will come across. So still we are seeing, we have covered that one portion. Now today actually we have covered this karma, the answer has been, already it has been refuted. Jnanam being combined with the karma as a means of attainment of moksha, that has been refuted. We'll come back and see again. It goes on and on for many pages, don't worry. But it's good, isn't it? How a lot of thinking is involved here. It is called really, mananam means churning our mind. Churning our mind, making us think, seeing from different angles. All the possible defects have to be clarified. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. I received an email from London, Swamiji, UK. Occasionally I used to travel by this coach, public transport, to long distances. When I don't get a train, because my train is quicker than car, you see, because driving, this to avoid traffic. So I get letters saying, it completely stopping